My fingers found the silk sash of my dress, and as I slowly untied it, the air in the room grew thick, heavy with unspoken things. "I think," I said, my voice dropping to a whisper that felt both like a confession and a command, "we need to even things out, Leo." I slowly reached behind me and unzipped the back of my dress. The crimson fabric, a stark contrast to the motel's faded decor, gave way with a soft hiss. It slipped off my shoulders and slid down my body, pooling around my feet like a fallen rose. The cool, stale air from the rattling air conditioner brushed against my skin, but it did nothing to quell the fire burning deep inside me. I watched his eyes, the dark, intense eyes of my husband's son. The look in them said it all: shock, raw admiration, and a magnetic pull he was no longer fighting. The silence between us was a living thing, a bond woven from shared glances and racing heartbeats. Then, with a resolve that sent a shiver through me, he stood up. He never took his gaze off me as he walked to the door, and, with a decisive turn of his wrist, slid the deadbolt home. The solid, metallic click echoed in the small room, sealing us off from the world, from duty, from everything but the truth that now stood bare between us. To understand the weight of that lock clicking shut, you have to understand the long, silent hours that led us there. You have to understand the heat. Welcome to Heartstrings and Scars, where we give voice to the unspoken stories of love and loss. We believe every experience holds a lesson waiting to be discovered. If you enjoy our content, kindly subscribe to our channel and never miss a story. It began that morning in the oppressive, shimmering heat of a Scottsdale summer. I'd caught my reflection in the polished chrome of the espresso machine, my face a mask of tension. Life with Marcus, my husband, had become a series of long-distance phone calls and polite, empty emails. He'd been in Santa Fe for months, consumed by his work, and his neglect had left a hollow ache in my soul. At 47, I knew I still possessed a spark, a desirability that I felt coiled inside me, restless and ignored. But that feeling wasn't enough anymore. It didn't satisfy. In the kitchen, Leo was finishing a bowl of cereal, his lanky frame slouched over the granite island. At 22, he was on the cusp of his own life, a world away from mine. Yet here we were, orbiting each other in Marcus's vast, empty house. "You're starting university in the fall," I said, my voice sharper than I intended. "You need the driving practice. Take me to your dad." He looked up, a familiar, cheeky grin spreading across his face. It was a look that was equal parts boyish charm and subtle troublemaker. "All right, Mia," he said, the use of my name a casual, teasing intimacy. "But on one condition. You tell Dad I need a better car than this rust bucket for the trip to college." "We'll see," I'd clipped, rushing him. Inside, I just wanted the trip over with. I had no idea the journey itself was the destination. 2 hours into the New Mexico desert, the world outside was a stark, beautiful canvas of red earth and endless blue sky. I was scrolling through my phone in the back seat while Leo hummed to some indie band on the radio, cracking jokes that only he found funny. Then a violent hiss from under the hood, a shudder, and silence. The car coasted to a dead stop on the shoulder of the empty highway. "What's happening?" I asked, a knot of panic tightening in my stomach. "I think she's dead," Leo muttered, his usual confidence replaced by a flicker of annoyance. There we were, stranded. The sun beat down. The air was thick with the smell of hot asphalt, and my phone had a single, useless bar of service. After 2 hours of arguing, calling mechanics who were 100 miles away, and Leo's futile attempts to fix the damn thing, we accepted our fate. The only option was the Starlight Motel, a faded relic whose neon sign flickered uncertainly a few miles back. At the reception desk, as Leo negotiated with the grizzled owner, I stood behind him, frustrated. If Marcus hears about this, he'll lose his mind. But strangely, deep down, the thought didn't scare me. A different feeling was stirring, a dangerous premonition that tonight was going to change everything. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to support us and join our growing community. We promise you stories that will make you reflect, question, and maybe even see yourself in the characters we share. When we opened the door to room 7, my expectations crashed. The space was tiny, dominated by a single queen-sized bed with a faded floral comforter. The air was musty, the one window looking out onto a dusty parking lot. "This is it," I muttered. Leo laughed, tossing his bag onto the bed. "What did you expect, the Four Seasons?" "Relax, Mia. It's just one night." That teasing tone again, that easy smirk. It grated on my nerves, but it also sparked something I couldn't explain. The thought of being trapped here, alone with him, didn't feel nearly as bad as it should have. "This heat is killing me," I said, fanning my neck. "I need a shower before I melt." "Be my guest," he said, stretching out on the bed, arms behind his head. I caught a glimpse of his toned frame, the mix of lean muscle and youthful grace that held a strange, unsettling charm. He was Marcus's son. I shook the thought away and stepped into the bathroom. Under the stream of lukewarm water, my mind raced. The steam filled the tiny room, fogging the mirror, fogging my thoughts. "I wanted to surprise you, Marcus," I thought, a bitter taste in my mouth. "And now I'm here, with your son." Leo's easy grin, his casual confidence, it was unlocking something inside me. Later, I went to the attached diner for a salad and a glass of wine, needing to clear my head. Sitting there, watching the sun bleed across the desert horizon, I couldn't stop thinking about him upstairs. When I returned to the room, it was quiet. I pushed the door open, and the sight that met me stole my breath. Leo had showered and was fast asleep on the bed, wearing nothing but a loosely tied white hotel robe. It had fallen open, revealing the sharp line of his collarbone, the smooth, tan skin of his chest, and the lean muscles of his torso. His damp hair was tousled over his forehead, and a faint smile played on his lips. My heart began to pound, a frantic, heavy rhythm against my ribs. "Mia, what are you doing?" I scolded myself. But my eyes betrayed me, drawn to where the robe had slipped, to the undeniable proof of his young, vital body. The smallness of the room was suddenly suffocating. One bed, it was the bed, or the rickety chair in the corner. In the middle of the night, a soft sound woke me. I cracked my eyes open to see Leo shifting, half asleep. I watched him through my lashes, my body still, my mind anything but calm. Then I felt it, his eyes on me. My heart hammered. He was watching me. He thought I was asleep. He untied the belt of his robe. And as it fell away, he stood, his body silhouetted by the moonlight filtering through the cheap curtains. He pulled on a pair of shorts, his gaze flickering back to me every few seconds, checking. The intensity of his look sent a jolt of pure electricity through me. Instead of getting back in bed, he sat in the chair in the corner and just watched me. Being observed so intently, so shamelessly, was both unnerving and exquisitely thrilling. I couldn't take it anymore. I sat up, the sheet pooling around my waist. Our eyes met across the dim room. "You're making this impossible, Leo," I said, my voice steady, betraying none of the chaos inside me. His eyes flickered. He took a deep breath. "I don't know, Mia," he began, his voice low and raspy. "Ever since Dad's been gone, the more time we spend together, I feel it. You might not see it, but sometimes I can't hide how much I admire you. Right now, this feels like a dream." His words, so honest and raw, undid me. I moved to the edge of the bed, my eyes locked on his. The energy between us was a physical force. When I came in earlier, I confessed, my voice soft. You were asleep. Your robe, it was open. I couldn't look away. It affected me more than I expected. We can't run from this feeling. Leo, we both know that. And that's when my fingers found the sash of my dress. That's when I stood, letting the crimson silk fall to the floor as he watched, his breath catching in his throat. That's when he stood and locked the door, shutting the whole world out. He crossed the room, his steps deliberate. When he was close enough to touch, his hands came to rest on my waist. The warmth of his skin through the thin fabric of my lingerie was like an electric current. He leaned in, his gaze dropping to my lips. I didn't resist. I couldn't. This felt fated, as inevitable as the sunrise over the desert. When his lips finally met mine, all the tension, all the loneliness and longing melted away. His kiss was slow, exploratory, yet it burned with an undeniable passion that met my own. My hands went to his shoulders, feeling their strength, pulling him closer until there was no space left between us, only the mingling of our breaths. It was an explosion of unspoken emotions, his youthful energy crashing into the deep well of passion I had kept hidden for years. Later, I lay back on the bed, my body humming with an exhausted, blissful energy. I felt his eyes on me, an intense, quiet gaze. He bent down and picked up my dress, his fingers brushing the silk. Slowly, he climbed onto the mattress, his movements careful, deliberate. As he leaned over me, his face close to mine, I could see the flush on his cheeks, the raw happiness and excitement in his eyes. I'll never forget this hotel, he whispered, his voice trembling. And I'm definitely telling Dad, he can't sell this car. Ever. He let himself fall next to me, and we lay in silence, listening to the sound of our breathing evening out. The next morning, Leo returned with the car fixed. As we drove toward Santa Fe to meet Marcus, I was filled with a dizzying mix of regret and thrilling exhilaration. I looked at Leo, at the way he gripped the steering wheel, at the secret knowledge that now lived in his eyes, and I knew everything was different. I didn't know where this road was taking us, only that for the first time in years, I felt truly, terrifyingly alive. The journey had just begun.